The ancient Stoics understood a profound truth that modern life often obscures. Our peace of mind is not determined by external circumstances, but by the quality of our inner world. And nothing shapes that inner world more powerfully than the people we choose to surround ourselves with. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what he didn't explicitly say, though he certainly lived, is that our thoughts are inevitably shaped by those we allow into our circle. The Stoic philosophers taught us to guard our minds like a fortress, to protect our energy like a sacred flame, and to choose our relationships with the same wisdom we would use to choose our teachers. For in truth, everyone we encounter is teaching us something, either how to live with virtue or how not to live at all. Today we explore the ancient wisdom that can help you identify and distance yourself from those who would poison your well of peace. The first type of person the Stoics would counsel you to avoid is the master manipulator. Those who see every relationship as a chess game where others are merely pieces to be moved. These individuals possess an almost supernatural ability to twist reality, to make you question your own perceptions, and to extract what they need while leaving you feeling confused and drained. Seneca warned us about such people when he observed that some individuals make themselves agreeable not by their own virtue, but by pandering to the vices of others. The manipulator operates through subtle coercion, emotional blackmail, and the careful cultivation of your guilt. They remember your weaknesses with photographic precision and deploy them strategically. The Stoic response is not anger or retaliation, but clear-eyed recognition and firm boundaries. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we cannot control others' actions, only our responses. When you encounter manipulation, respond with the calm detachment of one who sees through the performance. Set your boundaries like stone walls, immovable and non-negotiable. Remember that your peace of mind is not a negotiable commodity. Equally destructive is the chronic victim, the person who has transformed suffering into an identity and complaints into a career. These individuals collect grievances like trophies, always ready to recite their catalog of wounds and injustices. While compassion is a virtue, the Stoics understood the difference between helping someone through temporary hardship and enabling someone who has made helplessness their permanent address. Epictetus, who himself endured slavery and physical disability, taught that our power lies not in our circumstances, but in our response to them. The chronic victim rejects this fundamental truth, preferring the comfortable familiarity of resentment to the challenging work of growth. They drain your energy not through their problems, but through their refusal to take responsibility for their own liberation. The Stoic approach is to offer genuine help once or twice, but to recognize when someone is more invested in their victim status than in their recovery. Your compassion should have boundaries, for unlimited sympathy to those who refuse to help themselves ultimately serves no one. The envious person represents another category of toxic influence that the ancient philosophers warned against. Envy is perhaps the most self-destructive of emotions because it makes someone else's success into your own failure. The envious person cannot celebrate others' achievements without feeling diminished, cannot witness others' happiness without experiencing their own misery. Seneca observed that no one can have what he wants, but a man can refrain from wanting what he is not and cheerfully make the best of a bird in the hand. The envious person violates this wisdom daily, allowing others' possessions, achievements, or relationships to poison their own contentment. They disguise their envy as concern, their jealousy as wisdom, their resentment as justice. The Stoic recognizes that envy is ultimately about the envious person's relationship with themselves, not with you. When you encounter envy, respond with the secure knowledge that your worth is not diminished by others' resentment. Share your victories with those who can celebrate them and protect your achievements from those who would use them as weapons against their own self-worth. The habitually dishonest person creates a reality where truth becomes negotiable and integrity becomes optional. These individuals lie not just about facts, but about their intentions, their feelings, and their commitments. They create a web of deception so complex that even they begin to lose track of what is real. Marcus Aurelius valued truth above comfort, writing, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The dishonest person operates by the opposite principle, saying whatever serves their immediate purpose and doing whatever advances their immediate interests. Living in proximity to such people forces you to become a detective in your own life, constantly questioning, verifying, and doubting. The Stoic response is to value your own integrity above all else, and to recognize that you cannot build anything meaningful on a foundation of lies. When you discover dishonesty, address it once clearly and directly. If the behavior continues, protect yourself by limiting your vulnerability to further deception. Remember that trust, once broken, may be forgiven but need not be restored. Energy vampires drain your vitality through their overwhelming neediness and their inability to exist without constant attention and validation. Unlike those facing genuine crises, energy vampires create drama as a lifestyle choice. They feed on your emotional responses, your time, your concern, and your energy. These individuals have learned to weaponize their own chaos, making their problems into your emergencies and their emotional instability into your responsibility. Epictetus taught us we should focus our energy only on what is within our control. The energy vampire violates this wisdom by making their internal turmoil into your external problem. They call with the same crisis repeatedly, seek advice they never follow, and create emergencies that somehow always require your immediate attention. The Stoic response is to recognize that your energy is a finite resource that should be invested wisely. Offer help that empowers rather than enables. Set clear boundaries around your availability and your emotional investment. Remember that saying no to their chaos is saying yes to your own peace. Drama seekers thrive on conflict, crisis, and emotional intensity. For them, peace is not a blessing, but a problem to be solved through the creation of artificial excitement. They stir up conflicts where none existed, amplify minor disagreements into major battles, and always seem to find themselves at the center of interpersonal storms. Seneca valued tranquility above almost all other states, recognizing that inner peace is the foundation of wisdom and virtue. The drama seeker is the enemy of tranquility, always ready to disturb still waters with unnecessary turbulence. They mistake intensity for passion, conflict for connection, and chaos for authenticity. The Stoic recognizes that true strength often manifests as calmness, true confidence as quiet certainty, and true connection as peaceful understanding. When you encounter drama seekers, refuse to be drawn into their theater. Respond to actual problems with practical solutions, but do not reward artificial crises with excessive attention. Protect your peace by choosing not to participate in unnecessary conflicts. Flatterers present a subtler danger because they appeal to our ego while undermining our growth. These individuals tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear, praising your weaknesses as strengths and encouraging your vices as virtues. Marcus Aurelius surrounded himself with advisors who would challenge his thinking, not confirm his biases. He understood that honest criticism is a gift, while false praise is a trap. The flatterer keeps you comfortable in your current state, preventing the discomfort necessary for growth. They praise your anger as passion, your stubbornness as strength, your closed-mindedness as conviction. The Stoic seeks truth over comfort, growth over validation, and wisdom over ego gratification. When you recognize flattery, question its motivation. Seek advisors who care more about your character than your comfort, who will risk your displeasure to serve your development. Remember that those who never challenge you are not serving your highest good. Hypocrites poison relationships through the gap between their words and their actions, their stated values and their actual behavior. They preach virtues they do not practice, demand standards they do not meet, and judge others by criteria they themselves violate. Epictetus taught that philosophy is not about clever words, but about how we live our lives. The hypocrite turns this wisdom on its head, using noble words to disguise ignoble actions. They create confusion about what is truly valuable, making sincerity seem naive and consistency seem impossible. The Stoic values alignment between thought, word, and deed above all else. When you encounter hypocrisy, do not try to reconcile the contradiction. Accept it as information about the person's character. Judge people by their actions over time, not by their promises in the moment. Protect yourself from disappointment by trusting behavior over rhetoric. Narcissists turn every relationship into a performance where they are the only important actor and everyone else is merely part of the supporting cast. They lack the capacity for genuine empathy, seeing others only as extensions of themselves or obstacles to their desires. The narcissist's love is conditional on your usefulness, their friendship contingent on your ability to reflect their glory back to them. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the interconnectedness of all people, the importance of considering others' welfare alongside our own. The narcissist violates this fundamental principle, unable to see beyond their own needs, wants, and perceptions. They exhaust those around them through their bottomless need for attention, validation, and special treatment. The Stoic response is to recognize that you cannot fill a vessel with a hole in the bottom. Protect yourself by maintaining realistic expectations and firm boundaries. Remember that the narcissist's inability to see your value is a reflection of their limitations, not your worth. The chronically negative person approaches life as a catalog of disappointments, seeing problems where others see opportunities and finding clouds in every silver lining. While the Stoics acknowledge that life contains genuine difficulties, they also taught that our interpretation of events shapes our experience more than the events themselves. The chronically negative person has chosen to interpret life through the lens of pessimism, defeat, and resentment. They drain the joy from victories, the hope from possibilities, and the energy from dreams. Seneca taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, but the chronically negative person subjects everyone around them to their worst-case scenarios and catastrophic predictions. The Stoic seeks to maintain equanimity in the face of both good and bad fortune, recognizing that both are temporary and that our response matters more than our circumstances. When you encounter chronic negativity, protect your own perspective by limiting your exposure to their worldview. Maintain your capacity for hope, optimism, and possibility by choosing companions who share these values. Finally, beware of those who actively sabotage growth, both their own and others. These individuals feel threatened by improvement, progress, and positive change because such developments highlight their own stagnation. They discourage ambition, mock effort, and celebrate failure. When you attempt to better yourself, they remind you of your past mistakes. When you set goals, they predict your failure. When you make progress, they attribute it to luck rather than effort. Epictetus taught that we have the power to improve our lives through disciplined effort and wise choices. The growth saboteur rejects this possibility, preferring to believe that change is impossible because accepting the possibility of change would require them to confront their own choices. The Stoic recognizes that growth is not only possible, but essential to human flourishing. Surround yourself with those who celebrate your victories, support your efforts, and inspire your continued development. Distance yourself from those who would keep you small to make themselves feel large. The wisdom of the Stoics teaches us that protecting your mind is not an act of selfishness, but an act of wisdom. Your thoughts shape your character shapes your actions, and your actions shape your life. By choosing carefully who you allow into your inner circle, you are not building walls but tending a garden, removing the weeds that would choke out the flowers of virtue, wisdom, and peace. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we become what we repeatedly think about, and our thoughts are inevitably influenced by those we spend time with. Choose companions who elevate your thinking, challenge your assumptions, and inspire your growth. Choose relationships that add to your peace rather than subtract from it, that encourage your virtues rather than exploit your weaknesses. Remember that every person you allow close to you is shaping who you become. Make sure that influence is worthy of the person you aspire to be. In protecting your peace, you protect your potential. In guarding your energy, you guard your ability to serve the world with your highest gifts. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship of the most important resource you possess, your own soul.